I want to bring in Ruby Hen, the father of Itai Hen, an American-Israeli hostage. Thank you so much for being with us. What are you feeling right now about this apparent ceasefire deal?
Plus, I think gratitude to President Biden and his team, specifically Mr. Batnagak, NSC coordinator to the Middle East that has been camping out in Qatar, as well as the Trump administration and specifically Mr. Steve Witkoff, President Trump's special envoy that also has been in Qatar the last week. We are very grateful for what is happening, but at the moment it seems that it is a partial deal and it is somehow connected to a second phase that will only happen in a number of weeks. And my son, a U.S. citizen, as well as 4 other U.S. citizens are still going to be put in the second phase. So it just means that there needs more work to be done to enable me and 64 other families to be reunited with their family members still in Gaza.
Can you help people to understand what this 15 months have been like for you and your family?
Yeah, as you see, I have this patch here, 467, so it changes every day. It's a constant question. What do I do today that will move the return of my son 1 inch? Last week, we decided, myself and my wife, that the best place to be actually is in Qatar, to be close to the negotiators. We felt as if, having a list of names on an Excel sheet is not the same as needing to look somebody in the eye and having him question you about where we are in the negotiations and making sure that we're doing everything possible. So me and my wife, we met officials from the Qatar government, from the Prime Minister office, Minister of State, NSA, as well as meeting Mr. Batnagak, and also in contact with Mr. Steve Witkoff and urging him to be physically in Qatar in order to provide the guarantees that the Biden administration has been providing for this agreement, that the Trump administration would also guarantee as well those pieces of the agreement that were needed to make sure that we could get to where we are now.
As you have been living this, there have been times when it looked like a deal might be close, and then it turned out not to be. And I wonder how confident you are right now that this ceasefire deal will indeed bring back all of the hostages still held in Gaza?
Yeah, that's the billion-dollar question. I think there's a lot of positive energy. I think since the elections, the Trump effect has provided the negotiators extra motivation to get this done. It is a framework, but as it is being conveyed to us, there's only the first part that is being guaranteed. The second phase is still questionable, as it is the Middle East. It's only like a matchlight away from blowing up always. And the only thing predictable about the Middle East is it being unpredictable. So we need to try as much as possible push that the second phase, with the release of the additional hostages, happens as soon as possible. And hopefully both sides will see the benefit of the ceasefire and understand that we need to move quickly to a more permanent ceasefire and get the hostages out, as well as also starting to try to give the people of Gaza that have been a human shield for this terrorist organization the humanitarian aid that is also required for them to be able to start beginning and piecing their lives together.
You mentioned that you and your wife were in Doha during these negotiations, and in fact, you've traveled the world. You have been a relentless advocate for your son. So I remember about Itai, he was a big basketball fan, right? NBA fan, that he was an athlete himself. But tell people about your son.
Yeah, so just about the basketball piece, I'm a New Yorker, as you could hear, and, a very proud New York Knicks fan. And for the love of God, I do not know how I became a Celtics fan. So, that was, one of the things we would talk a lot about. He is the middle child, so he has an elder sibling and a younger sibling. So he is the connector. Very loving, life of the party, always in the middle of things, sings, dances. He has a loving girlfriend waiting for him. We still question what his status indeed is. We were notified according to intelligence, but it's difficult to explain. But there's no physical evidence, and Hamas has not provided any statement about him. So, we just got out of Christmas and Hanukkah, the season of miracles. Maybe there's something waiting for us as well. And we just want to have closure and be able to have an ending to this chapter and end our suffering and be able to move and process, whatever the future has in store for us. But Itai will always be a big part of our lives. And it's so unfortunate, there's no competition in pain. And there's been too much pain for these 15 months. And I am, again, grateful to the U.S. administrations, as well as the Qatar officials and Egypt and anyone that has helped us get to this point. But as I said, the work is not done. There are still U.S. citizens that will be still hostages, even after this first phase. And the United States should and does have a commitment. And I know after meeting Mr. Mike Waltz and Mr. Steve Witkoff and Mr. Adam Boehler, all of them have showed their personal commitment to me and to my family to getting this done. And next week we will be at the inauguration. We were invited by the President Trump's inauguration team, and I have this vision that when President Trump is giving a speech, he could come and say to me, Mr. Khan, I'd like to share with you that your son is coming out as well. So I still have that hope of happening.
You've mentioned so many of the people who have worked so tirelessly over the course of these 467 days to make this moment a reality. But there is, of course, the deeply personal side, the families of the other hostages. And no one can fully understand what this time has been like in the way that they can. How much of we just got a statement from the families of the American hostages and thanking the tireless collaboration between Israel, Egypt, Qatar, and the United States, and going on to mention the work that was done. But what have those relationships meant to you through this time?
Yeah, so I tried to backtrack and see how many times we talked and met Mr. Jake Sullivan, National Security Advisor. It was 24 times since this ordeal happened. I think it's extraordinary the amount of effort that he has put in. We, the U.S. families, have been on constant journey through the White House and the Senate, Congress. I think it's also important to mention the bipartisan support that we have gotten from Congress and Senate, and urging the 119th Congress as well to do even more to put pressure on the parties to make sure that they're doing whatever is needed to get all the hostages out. There are different levers that have not been used yet. And I urge our friends in Congress to also make sure that there's no daylight between the House and the Trump administration. And we, the families, have become, a very intimate group of people that have been able to share, our tragedy one with the other. And it is bittersweet. We're very happy for those that are coming out. Many families will be reunited, the women, children, elderly, but still, it's still a feeling that there's more to be done. It is not like last November, where we had the women and children coming out and there was no expectation, at least from my end, that Itai, as a young male, would come out. But after 467 days, everyone is humanitarian. Gani, Judy, Idan, Sagi, Omil, Kis, they're all family members, and we want them all out. So we are grateful, and it's a time to be joyful for those that will be reunited, but there's still work to be done.
Well, I know that so many people who are watching will pray along with you and your family, Ruby, for a miracle for Itai. Ruby Ken, thank you so much for being on the program. Much appreciated.